Marvin Devine. I'm saying bye to all the lies and all the times you cried, saying that I wasn't right, yet I was right by your side. You manipulator, playing games, your friends commentators, and I don't know what you say about our private conversations, but it's got them hating. Thanks to all the rumors you be claiming. It's cool, I'm done with you, so they can throw you a celebration. You gon' hate it when you see me with somebody living better. I'm trying to tell you that me just doing me gon' have you jealous.
Remembrance Day 2025, the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. The armistice was signed in 1918 to end the horrific conflict known as the First World War. Commonwealth countries around the world, the United Kingdom, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, and others like Canada celebrate Remembrance Day on the 11th of November each and every year. Poppies have become the symbol, and of course that comes from a poem written by Lieutenant Colonel McCrae, a Canadian officer who wrote this about Flanders Fields, Ypres, in the First World War. Unfortunately for the colonel, who was a veteran of the Anglo-Boer War and World War I, he died during the First World War after writing that poem, which appeared in Punch magazine in London in the same year. That date is designated as Veterans Day here in America, in which we recognize the service of all veterans, all 41 million plus Americans who served in uniform in defense of freedom for this country over the centuries. Veterans Day. Today, there are 15 million living veterans in the United States, down from a peak of 28 million in 1970, which is understandable. 16 million Americans served in uniform alone during the Second World War. So our peak veteran population reached 28 million, or 20% of the total American population, including children and women. 1 in 5 Americans was a veteran in 1970. Today, just 4% of Americans are veterans. 4%. The veteran total is down to 15 million and declining. By the year 2040, there'll be just 12.9 million veterans who are living. Today, we recognize the service and the sacrifice and the loss of those around the world. Another country that also celebrates Remembrance Day is, of course, France, which was devastated by the First World War. Folks, thank you for your patience in arriving here at the channel and being patient waiting for me to arrive. My apologies, but I have a very busy day. I did inform people that yesterday, and there was always a possibility I'd run over. I just spent a session with some Truth Report content creators and talking about methods and helping them with some of the things they're doing. So I hope that that you don't mind me being late on this Veterans Day. My apologies. After this, I'll be live on the Conscious Caracal. That'll be coming up. Whoops, the wind just picked up here. The whole house is shaking. Whew. Is there a tornado? Yeah, so Conscious Caracal. I'll make sure my sound is here. Nobody's saying anything. Yeah, so Conscious Caracal. I'll make sure okay, good sounds there. Yeah, the Conscious Caracal. I'll be on there. We'll talk about the year in review for Africa and what to expect in Africa in 2026. It's a program we usually do at the beginning of the year, but he and I have been very busy in 2025 with events unfolding, with him now responsible for communications at AfriForum and for me dealing with the refugee program and other issues throughout the year, plus my busy travel schedule. So we'll be doing that. It'll be the Conscious Caracal's final broadcast of the year. Not mine, but the final one for him. Next week, he'll be coming on my program, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on. So thank you for being here, folks. All right, sound is 5x5. Thank you, Charles. I don't trust the system anymore. I have to check just to make sure. Peter and Teresa, Conrad, Charles, Julia, Nicola, Utopi. Utopi, I came across something earlier that my Firefox rebooted this time, and when it did, it logged me out of all of my settings. My passwords were gone. My sites visited were gone. My favorite, my bookmarks, everything was gone. So Mozilla at the top has realized that they have a problem. They put a thing at the top saying that things could be conflicting. It says this error occurs when a database file that stores bookmarks and browsing history and related site icons can't be accessed by Firefox. And there's troubleshooting. So they gave me a link to it. It says restart Firefox. That didn't do it. Restart your computer. That fixed it, but I had to log back into everything. Update your security software definitions, create a new database, and I don't really want to do that. Anyway, so as I said, it's probably Windows conflict. Windows Defender may be the culprit. And so that solves that. Doesn't solve that problem, but it helps identify that problem, which is something I've been dealing with for a while. So Martke van Jasveld, Holden Caulfield, Phoenix, Mad Max, Alan, Lindy, Jacques B. Afrikaner, Anna Kruger, Kathy Price, Conrad, Sloth Puppy, Freya. Why are we, if I'm late, there's a good reason. Exactly, I'm late for a reason. Napoleon Dynamite's here. And then who else we got? All right, Fabian, MAGA Anonymous, daylight savings time scam. Daylight savings time is not a scam. It's a very effective method to save energy and reduce traffic accidents, contrary to the view of the government. Charlene Cronier, Dorothea, Sigi Holden Caulfield, Len Dion Britz. Okay, thank you, Dion Britz. Thank you very much. Dion Britz says that he's been waiting since the 12th of May, submitting a statement of interest, and got a call today. For those of you who keep pestering and arguing, I haven't got called. See? 12 May, June, July, August, September, October, November. 6 months he had to wait. That's a long time. Fair enough. I agree. But you're not being ignored, folks. So many people have complained they haven't got called, they haven't been contacted again. And then shortly after they send me emails, they do get contacted. So, and not through intervention on my part for the most part. Teresa, welcome to Shawnee Grows. What's going on? She's in the kitchen. Tiger and Sweets, Lindsay Harris, Teresa Mostart, Mad Max. Chris Swanepoel's back. Chris, I haven't seen you in a while. Have you been busy? A lot of people to what? There's a lot of people to something. And you deleted your message. I think you typed something wrong. Be Happy says, same, still waiting. Yep. Look, I appreciate it, guys. 6 months is a long time to wait for a courtesy message. There should have been a better system to this. It should have been. That's what they're trying to develop now is a better system. Sammy Struthers. I don't know any Sammy Struthers. I know Sally Struthers. Welcome to you. Mad Max. Daylight savings time is a mild form of sleep deprivation. I suppose you can say that. Quids is back. All right. Hope you're well. I'm okay, but I've got just finished that conversation, that Google Meet session, then this, and then Conscious Caracal, and then I'm off to an orthopedic surgeon. So I'm not looking forward to that. And then tonight I have to speak at the Veterans Post. So anyway, busy schedule. It never seems to let up. So anyway, welcome, Werner. How's it going? New law proposes that local councils create bylaws for preferential licensed small business owned by disadvantaged groups. Oh, I didn't see that. Jiminy crickets. Yep. Do you see the racist MTM internship they're offering? Well, it's not just that. Let me see if I've saved this. So hang on a second. I'll see if I've saved it. Actually, it's not going to be there. It's going to be... Hang on. Come on. Where's that? So let me jump here. Did I save it? No, I did not save it. Okay, hang on a second. All right. So, yeah. All right, so... Oh, is that the one you're just talking about, MTN? Hang on a second. Yeah, that is the one. Yeah, I was actually working on it to highlight it, so I've got to... Give me a second here. Arrange group. Okay. Save as image. Save as picture. Yeah, okay, so I want a JPEG. Okay. Okay. All right, so yeah, let me bring that up now, and then what you want to talk about there. But that's going to be in my photos because I did a different way to save that photograph. So MTN, that's W. How do I get to W already? MTN, MN. Come on. Hang on. Oh, there it is. Okay. All right, so it's a UNISA scholarship internship that we're talking about here. So let me, this is what you're talking about. I have seen it. So here you go. This is what you're talking about. It wasn't what I was going to talk about right now. The CSET UNISA student needed for MTN internship. And you must be African, colored, or Indian. So African is black. Yeah, so there you go. There you go. Anti-Floy, I'm glad you enjoyed the interview with Jaco Kleinhans. That was a pleasure to do that, but man, it was rough. I didn't get much sleep because of that. So you just got to do the mission when it comes. 313 people currently here, 167 likes. Before we get to news, can we get some likes pushed?
That was easy.
Gonna be in there, might as well. Cook for 2 households, gotcha. Did you look into the hip strap? No, I didn't, Max. I got to see the orthopedic surgeon. Yeah, there's no discrimination. Wow, I'm surprised that coloreds and Indians were included. Yeah, well, they're doing that to cover their bases. That's to cover the bases. But the fact that they list coloreds and Indians doesn't mean they're going to give the internship to a colored Indian. Watch and see who they give it to. Notice all the photographs of the BE success stories that appeared by the ANC, publishing them online this week. In virtually every photo, almost, there's no Indians. There's no whites. There's a couple coloreds in 1 or 2 of the photos, but all the rest are just black people. Yep. Yes, well, we're looking for confirmation, Argentina. I'm going to talk about that. You're stealing my thunder, Martin. Hi, Erica. What's going on? Braun. Yeah, looks like Solidarity is making ANC play whack-a-mole. Yep. Anyway, yes, because they're putting posters up all over the place. All All right, let's get to the news, folks. We have a little over an hour, and then it's off to the conscious caracal. So here you go. Today's news, November 11th, Remembrance Day, or in the United States, Veterans Day. Pretoria prepares for G20 Leaders Summit amid U.S. absence. Well, it's not just the U.S. it's going to be missing. South Africa is preparing to host more than 60 heads of state and government together with leaders of regional blocs and major international institutions for the forthcoming Group of 20 Leaders Summit, even as attention has been drawn to the absence of U.S. President Donald Trump. The non-attendance follows months of limited U.S. participation in the G20 process during South Africa's presidency. Washington skipped many working group meetings and withdrew from chairing the sustainable finance workstream, prompting Italy to take over. U.S. decision to pull out all officials from the summit has also created uncertainty around the ceremonial handover. Vice President Vance had been expected to represent the U.S., but canceled both his attendance and planned trip to Kenya immediately after the summit. U.S. absence is not expected to materially affect the final outcomes of the summit. Well, no Putin or Xi either. So, that's 3 high-level officials that aren't there. Meanwhile, South Africa has been trying to spruce up rubbished Johannesburg. Ahead of the G20, is Johannesburg city center in ruins? Yes, it is. That gentleman, Mr. Sitole, lives without running water or power in one of the derelict, hijacked buildings. In just under a fortnight, leaders from some of the world's major economies will gather in South Africa's economic heartland for a G20 summit. But just a few kilometers from the spruced up, highly secure venue in the city center, which the authorities are struggling to improve and keep safe, they face major challenges to clean up more than 100 derelict buildings, many plagued by rubbish and open sewage, some of which have been overtaken by criminal gangs. There's guns, there's drugs, there's prostitutes, there's everything here, said Nelson Kitani, a resident of the building known as MBV1, located in Joubert Park. Neglect and lack of maintenance have left vandalized communal kitchens stripped of their fittings, while overflowing human waste covers parts of what used to be the laundry area. He told BBC Africa Eye that rooms in the building had been hijacked. The state of the city was on the mind of President Ramaphosa when he visited back in March. He said, I found the city filthy. Well, yes, of course it's filthy. It's run by the ANC coalition. What else would you expect? Meanwhile, in huge news, which is yet to make it into the media, at least when I went live an hour ago with my other interview, yes, Javier Milei announced his withdrawal from the G20 summit as a show of support for President Trump of the United States. Argentina. So now it's the G17 and a half. Ladies and gentlemen, the G17.5. Yep. No USA makes it 19. No Argentina makes it 18. And tiny little South Africa makes it 17.5. The G17.5. Wow. Well, Enoch Gondwana posts an op-ed, minister, in the Daily Maverick about the great contributions and how the ANC is leading the G20. The work of the G20 finance ministers and central bank governors this year will have a lasting legacy for Africa's economies. South Africa must ensure that it makes the most of the hosting this forum and championing the content's development agenda. The problem here is that South Africa is hijacking the G20. The purpose of G20 is not development in Africa. The purpose of G20 is economic prosperity for the member states of the G20. But this is what they think the G20 is, their little talking forum for the world's failed economies. The G20 requires a multi-year project to support progress on removing constraints to growth and development in Africa. Well, you don't need a multi-year project. We just need several coups d'etats and removal of governments. That's it. You just remove the corrupt governments in Africa and put in honest people, and then problem solved. We can go from there. South Africa's proposed establishing a G20 African engagement framework. No. You want that? Then create your, that's what the African Union's for. That's what the African Union's for. And the African Union can negotiate with the European Union, but they're not doing that. You're not going to hijack the G20 and create some bullshit to promote giving money away to deadbeats who don't pay it back. Senegal doesn't want to pay its debt back. Oh, it's not fair. Macky Sall borrowed the money. Hey, he ran your country. You voted for him. That's your problem. It's your debt. Pay your money back, deadbeats. Yep. And so the Africa Engagement Framework would focus on 5 priorities: fiscal and macroeconomic challenges. Well, I can solve those, but that's going to mean the removal and excising of political parties. Institutional reforms to enhance government. Well, we've been through this for decades. Institutional reform. What institutional reform? The ANC is reformed its institutions into racist organizations that persecute its racial minorities and enrich a small number of elites. That's it. So that's the reform. No, thank you. Developing regional infrastructure to facilitate the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. Regional infrastructure. How are you going to develop that? You expect the other 19 countries in the G20 to pay for that? None of them are African. So you expect the countries in Europe, Asia, and North America to fund African infrastructure? Given the way that you treat us, the way you rubbish us, we should do that? I don't think so. Reducing the high cost of capital and strengthening the role of private finance. The high cost of capital is because you're deadbeats. You don't pay your bills. South Africa has junk bond status. You can't go into the debt markets and borrow money unless you pay an exorbitant interest rate. And given that prime lending rate is about 5% in the U.S., that means you're paying well over 10 or 12% or more for money you borrow on the spot market. If you have good credit, you get lower rates. If you have good credit history, you get the best deal. South Africa doesn't have a good history. Therefore, it gets crappy deals, and that's the reality. And you're not going to get a better deal. If I'm a banker, I'm not going to loan you money unless you pay me 14%, because the odds of you repaying the loan are pretty slim. It's as simple as that, folks. It's as simple as that. And enhancing the role of international financial institutions in facilitating growth and development on the continent. So what do you mean by that? You want to control the IMF and the World Bank? I don't think so. I don't think so. Well, the National Prosecuting Authority is still deciding whether 2-3 years later, whether they're going to prosecute Cyril Ramaphosa. They're still deciding whether they're going to prosecute Cyril Ramaphosa. Are you serious? I mean, honestly, are these people kidding me? This is insane. This is absolutely insane. How is it all this time later they haven't decided they're going to prosecute Cyril Ramaphosa? I mean, honestly, what's going on? Oh, so hang on a second here. Now I got to log back in. Get logged out, so that sucks. Oh, that's frustrating. Getting logged out of things. I mean, they're just now deciding they're going to prosecute him. I mean, that's insane. That's insane. What is the deal? This is crazy. Something's missing here. Sorry, folks. Something is not right here. I'm looking for something that's missing. That's very frustrating when you look for something that's not there. So now I've got to find it. The search feature on this does not work very well. Sorry. Give me a moment here. I'm trying to find something. But I've got so much here, it takes a while to find it. Oh, that's why I spelled it that way. That's why. Okay, now I understand why it didn't show up. Anyway, yeah, but they haven't decided whether they want to prosecute this guy. The ad hoc committee investigating allegations made by SAP's provincial head Lieutenant General Ananda Mkonazi has commenced with its hearings, but they're still deciding whether they're going to prosecute Ramaphosa. I mean, that's insane. Why are they not prosecuting him? What is missing here? What am I missing from this story? Is there not prima facie evidence to launch an investigation into our prosecution? I mean, really, seriously. Why aren't we investigating? Why hasn't there been a charge? Isn't there enough information? Money stuffed in the sofa?
Money stuffed in my sofa, a treasure untold. Shira's got a game ranch, stories untold.
Pala Pala, ritzy joint, glimmer and gold. Stay overnight, don't you stray. Couch cushions hide a rainy day.
Pala Pala,
Where the secrets play. Under the cushions, the cash will stay.
Pala Pala, don't give it away. Rainy day, rainy day. Hey. Luxury whispers and velvet dreams. Sarah laughs, but nothing's as it seems. Game of chance or a clever scheme. Hidden fortune stitched in the seam. You'll never know till you're caught in the stream.
La Pala, where the secrets play. Under the cushions, the cash will stay. Pala Pala,
Don't give it away.
rainy day, rainy day. Got censored. Where the secrets play. Under the cushions, the cash will stay.
Don't give it away. Rainy day.
Rainy day. Hey. Pala Pala Nights, folks. Why is there not an investigation? Where is the investigation? Where is the investigation? Ah, my goodness. My goodness. So, the National Prosecuting Authority is still deciding whether to prosecute President Ramaphosa for the $580,000 illegally brought into South Africa, hidden in a couch at his Pala Pala game ranch. Whether he's responsible or not, he certainly needs to answer some questions about it. They're waiting to establish a committee. I don't doubt that. Well, Solidarity is threatening legal actions. If you tuned in earlier, you would have saw my interview with Jaco Kleinhans from Solidarity Movement. They actually, while I was talking to him early this morning, South Africa time, he received a message that the legal brief is prepared. They are taking an urgent interdict, taking the city of Johannesburg to court. Dada Moreau has to answer, and the Johannesburg Metro Police Department for vandalizing legally authorized, paid for advertisements along the highways on billboards in South Africa. They are threatening a legal action, an emergency interdict. Typhoid and Tapworn in Pretoria. No, I haven't heard anything about that. Solidarity has threatened legal action against the city of Johannesburg after its advert along the M1 in Johannesburg, labeling South Africa as the most race-regulated country in the world, was removed. It was strategically displayed along a route leading to the G20 summit, which is expected to attract delegates from 19 countries. Solidarity, well, actually 18, folks. Since the government refused to engage with us about race laws and racial discrimination against minorities in South Africa, we decided to launch a campaign during the G20 summit and make the rest of the world aware of the fact that South Africa is the most racially regulated country in the world. Solidarity out in the front. Now, Panyaza Lusufi celebrated the fact that those things were ripped down. I shared that video on my earlier produced video, and he's celebrating censorship. While the ANC runs around the country putting a billboard saying, "Free Palestine," how can you free Palestine? Hamas controls Gaza. They control the West Bank, Judea and Samaria. So what's being freed here? And they run their propaganda all over, promoting that and writing anti-Semitic things on billboards all over the country. They have a problem, or at least one of their politicians has a problem with Solidarity exercising its right to free speech guaranteed under South Africa's constitution. Well, South Africa's unemployment rate, folks, has fallen to 32%. Yay! Can you imagine being excited that almost over 1/3 of people in the country are unemployed? Of course, I don't buy this story at all. South Africa's official unemployment rate has decreased by 1.3 percentage points from 33.2 in the second quarter to 31.9 in the third quarter, thanks to 248,000 jobs were created. Really, 248,000 jobs. Where? In the construction industry, 130,000, followed by community and social services. Community and social services are not jobs. Those are government jobs. And trade, 108,000. Excuse me. But manufacturing lost 62,000. Finance lost 54,000 jobs in finance were lost. That's a very concerning figure. 30,000 utilities were lost and 3,000 in transportation. Do you believe that the unemployment rate has gone down? I don't. I believe the true unemployment rate in South Africa is between 40 and 45%. And 80 to 90% of youth are unemployed. Yes. Well, the posts were violent. The court hears how Duduzile Zuma Sambula's tweets glorified the July unrest. Shots were fired, trucks were ablaze, and roads were blockaded as unrest crippled KwaZulu-Natal and Gauteng in July 2021. These scenes, described as extreme, were tweeted by Duduzile Zuma Sambula with wording that Sarah Jane Trent, a fraud examiner from the organization Forensics for Justice, believes was inciting violence. 32 videos downloaded and tweeted by her on her X account prior to and during the unrest were submitted as evidence during proceedings. She laid the charges against her and said she did so after coming across the content alarmed by its tone and the fear it elicited from the public. I believe the tweets were extreme and inciting violence. These media posts were horrific and people were talking about them. There was real concern about the fear they were creating, and even before any case had been opened. I felt the accused is a leader, a former president's daughter, and she has many followers who look up to her for leadership. It was clear that incitement to public violence and malicious damage to property was being posted on Twitter. Incitement itself is an offense. Yes, and she's guilty of sin. We read the post. There's no question about it. Well, News 24 is busy running background stories to cover for the African National Congress, to promote the G20, the G18 conference, the G17.5 conference. They're busy. And now they're saying that this story about the golf course, the former Sun Resort in the Eastern Cape, is misleading. Let's see what they have to say. How the viral Fish River Sun video and social media twist the truth about land reform. Oh, I'm curious. A series of posts circulating on Facebook, X, and local news sites claim to show what happens when land is given to a rural community. The videos shot from the air show the gutted remains of the Fish River Sun Hotel and Golf Resort following its criminal looting in 2023. The captions tell a simple story. The resort was handed over in a land claim and then destroyed by its new community owners, but neglect to mention the property was struggling financially before the handover, which took years to finalize. Now, that's a lie. That's a lie. That's an absolute lie. Stories that reported on us claimed, in fact, stated that the place was harmed because its gaming license was taken to Port Elizabeth. They talked about its struggle for several years before it was looted. But see, this is propagandists at Cockprot 24 trying to run cover for the ANC and its failed land reform program. That's what's happening here, folks. That's what's happening here. So, in fact, the stories did report, and I reported, that the place struggled. It lost its gaming license. So I don't even have to go look for the story because I remember we just did the story. The report stated clearly and honestly, I think Daily Maverick covered this too, that the place was struggling financially. But struggling financially doesn't explain this condition. It doesn't explain how the place fell apart. The video shot from the air shows the gutter remains of the resort. None of this is new. Stories about the resort's condition have been public knowledge for years, but the headlines and captions sought to create a fresh, simple story that the resort was handed over in a land claim and then destroyed by its new community owners. The post took off, and Facebook user named Jason Gordon uploaded a flyover video to a group called Stop Destroying South Africa. His caption left little room for nuance. What's left of Fish River and the Golf Resort after being handed over to the local community in a rural and land claim? Well, that's true. That's true. There's major problems with handing over a local claim. They didn't maintain it. And then the place was looted. So that's the bottom line here. They closed the non-performing Fish River Sun Casino, citing continued operational losses. We closed it in November 2017 following continued operational losses. Positively settled the Fish River land claim agreement and the government for $75 million. The proceeds were received in February 2018. So then what was done with it by the Community Property Association? Nothing. The looting didn't take place until 2023, 6 years later. 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 23. 7 years later. 7 years later is when the looting took place. It took place because the place wasn't maintained. That's why it occurred. Yep. Yep, the narrative is powerful not because it's supported by evidence, but because it fits a familiar political script. The suggestion the property is handed over in good condition and then ruined plays on long-standing anxieties about expropriation. Well, it was handed over in good condition. The property was handed over in good condition. Do you deny that, News 24? Who wrote this bullshit article? Who wrote this? Andrew Thompson. Andrew Thompson, do you deny that the property was not turned over in good condition? You're a liar. You're a liar. Contact the Sun International. Ask them the condition of the place. It wasn't dilapidated. It was maintained. The golf course was serviceable. The hotel was functioning. The rooms worked. It just wasn't making money. And it wasn't making money because it lost the gaming license that they moved to Port Elizabeth. So what are you talking about here? This is Cockprot 24. Once Sun International exited, the site was no longer maintained or secured at the level required to protect the large coastal property. What the community took possession of in 2022 was an already shuttered resort, not the world-class functioning tourism business presented in the media. Well, Sun International, they do a quick jump here, and he plays with the facts. 2022, 2017, 2023. Which is it? Which is it? The land claim was turned over in 2017. It was closed, and they handed it over in November 2017. Oh, 2020, excuse me. So it was maintained for those years. Anyway, so there you're just running cover, misleading people about it. The bottom line is the site was still not maintained. There should have been a better approach to this. This is what happens with haphazard land reform and restoration. It was a bogus claim to land to begin with. Well, Cockprot 24 continues its betrayal, and this is a scumbag editorial by none other than Adrien Basson. The collaborators who betrayed their country for Trump. No, the collaborators who betrayed their country are in News 24. These are the collaborators who collude with political parties to destroy the country and create racial division. Those are the Ferrayas. Those are the Ferrayas in South Africa. They're the ones that betray South Africa. They're the ones that betrayed the Freedom Charter. They're the ones that betrayed the 1998 Constitution. They're the ones that betrayed the ephemeral Rainbow Nation concept. The Ferrayas in the media who lie and distort and create racial division with garbage like this. There will come a day in the not too distant future when we look back on this moment of madness and hold those South Africans who aided and abetted the lies of Donald Trump on account. Wow. Well, the liar in chief starts off with a lie. On Friday, Trump announced the United States would not send any official or employee to go to the G20 summit because of slaughtering Afrikaners and the illegal confiscation of their farms. These lies did not fall out of the sky. It's a culmination of a calculated project of many years by the right wing of South Africa abroad to use Trump to advance their sectarian interests during his term in office. Not one of them were brave enough to repudiate his fabrications. Well, Trump hasn't fabricated anything. South Africa has 145 race-based laws that discriminate against racial minorities. Refute that. And the refutation is always, well, this is transformation. No, it's racism. This is overcoming historical. No, it's not. It's enriching a small elite of favored friends. This is righting historical wrongs. No, it's not. It's perpetuating historical wrongs. You just simply flip the script about who the victims are. That's it. That's it. Oh, here's another one. Tom Eaton. He also published on X, I think. I have to go find that. China, not a threat to the ANC's job, tarnishing South Africa's image. Reports that China will allegedly send technicians to South Africa to secretly refurbish the Die Brugge military base have caused some alarm. But at the weekend, Gauteng provincial government provided some valuable perspective, revealing that the real threat to our national security is a can of red spray paint. According to Afrikaans Weekly report, the People's Republic of China will spend $500 million on the top secret project at the base near Bloemfontein. Needless to say, this will raise all sorts of red flags, most likely over the workers' compound, with a couple more decorating the walls of glorious Democratic Recreation Hall. Still, I have to confess that there's a part of me that's curious to see what that kind of money can buy when it's being spent by China rather than by the ANC. The whole thing might feel iffy as hell, but at least they're not going to drop $500 million on a row of portaloos and misspelt sign. Politicians and security experts are less enthusiastic. According to Chris Wyatt, the DA spokesman in defense, giving Chinese military personnel access to scientific equipment, naval vessels, is a threat to sovereignty. I agree that it's absolutely not okay to have Chinese experts throttling around our tanks and warships. Our sovereignty, however, is another matter, one that's becoming increasingly tricky as the world plays geopolitical musical chairs, flinging itself east or west in the hope of becoming a vassal of either China or the states formerly known as United. Tom Eaton, you're a slimy piece of human feces, buddy. The states formerly known as United? Piss off. Footsack, you loser. Oh, my goodness. Wow. So here he is fronting for the ANC, saying it's okay for China to come in and build your military bases. Yep. A Malian woman who was on TikTok praising the role of the government of Mali in protecting its citizens was abducted and killed by Islamic fanatics. A Malian woman who regularly posted videos on TikTok praising the army has been abducted by armed men and executed in a public square. State television had 2 local sources confirmed. Mariam Sisa, who had nearly 100,000 followers she has 143,000 followers, was taken in the northern town of Tonka on Thursday and later shot dead by her captors. The story was confirmed by 2 local sources who asked not to be named because they fear for their safety. Neither witnessed the execution themselves, but they said they had heard the details from someone in the crowd, another from Sisa's family. She was forcibly taken from the market in front of everyone. One source said the killing took place on Friday, while state TV sources said it took place on Saturday. In one video on her TikTok feed, she posted a clip of herself wearing military fatigues with the caption, "Viva Mali." This young woman simply wanted to promote her community through her TikTok post and encourage the Malian army in its missions to protect people and their property. And she was executed for it, according to media reports. What a horrific world we live in. What a horrific world we live in. Well, China is the biggest investor in Africa. Wrong. The United States historically has been the biggest investor in Africa for a century. China overtook us in 2012. But guess what? The Chinese are retreating and the Americans are back. That's right, folks. Quietly, the United States has resumed the title of the biggest foreign direct investor on the continent of Africa. Yep. You probably don't give much thought to the device that you're reading this article on, as long as it looks good and keeps working. But the elements that power it and run it are subject to an escalating struggle between the world's 2 biggest economies, the U.S. and China, with African countries in the eye of the storm. Africa is rich in critical minerals and metals like lithium, rare earths, cobalt, tungsten, which are necessary for our technology. China has long been the biggest player in the global market for critical minerals and metals. Its significant reserves at home and access to supplies from overseas thanks to major investment in foreign mining operations, especially in Africa. They built up a dominant position when it comes to processing global supplies, and that's rattled the U.S. with the threat of curbing exports. This is so much the case, the U.S. has actually quietly overtaken China as the biggest foreign direct investor in Africa. According to the latest annual figures, the U.S. invested $7.8 billion across Africa in 2023, compared with just $4 billion by China. That's the first time since 2012 that the U.S. has regained the lead in foreign direct investment across the continent. So 2023, 2024, 2025, we have regained the position. Prime Minister of Yemen's Houthi government killed in an Israeli airstrike. Ahmed Ghalib al-Rawai was the Prime Minister of Yemen's Supreme Political Council, the self-styled government in the Houthi-controlled capital of Sana'a. Israeli forces said they conducted a strike on the Houthi-controlled Yemeni capital on August 28th, killing. Well, that's an old story. August 28th, that's not news. Sorry, how'd that get in there? That is old news. That was there because I have another story on the Houthis, and here's the story on the Houthis. The Houthis, how that got in there. The Houthis indicate an end to the Red Sea in Israeli attacks. Let's make sure that's not an old story. Yeah, that's not an old story. That's today. The Iran-aligned group signaled a pause in hostilities, but warned that it would resume attacks if Israel renewed operations in Gaza. So, the Houthi terrorist group has signaled it has stopped military operations against Israel and shipping the Red Sea 1 month into the U.S.-brokered ceasefire in Gaza. In an undated letter from the leadership of the Al-Qassam brigades, published on November 9th by Hamas-run Al-Qassa TV on his Telegram channel, Major General Youssef Hassan al-Madani, Chief of Staff of Yemen's Houthi Council, reaffirmed the group's support for the terrorist group. But they are now apparently going to stop attacking shipping. Well, that's interesting. That's very interesting. Iraqis are voting for a new parliament. Iraq is caught in a power struggle between Washington and Tehran, and the Trump administration is insisting the next government disarm powerful Iran-backed militias. For average Iraqis, the focus is on maintaining the country's hard-won stability and economic growth after nearly 2 decades of U.S. occupation, sectarian war, and jihadist insurgency. But the election also has serious geopolitical consequences. Indeed, it does. But Iraq is in a bad way. Iran wants peaceful nuclear agreement with the United States. Okay, dismantle your nuclear weapons program, or we'll bomb it. Nuclear talks between Iran and the United States have not resumed since the 12-day war with Israel in June. But Iran is seeking a peaceful nuclear arrangement with the United States to resolve the decades-long dispute between the two countries. Tehran is not seeking nuclear bombs and is prepared to assure the world about it, says Khattabadzeh, told the 12th Abu Dhabi Strategic Debate in the UAE. We're very proud of our homegrown nuclear program. Well, okay, we'll see. Don't trust the Iranians for a heartbeat. Turkish military plane with 20 on board crashes in Georgia. Turkish military cargo plane with 20 people on board crashed in Georgia near the border with Azerbaijan today. Turkish and Georgian authorities said, but they gave no immediate word on casualties. The C-130 had taken off from Azerbaijan, was on its way back to Turkey when it crashed. Search and rescue operation has been launched in coordination with Azerbaijani and Georgian authorities. President Erdogan said he was deeply saddened by the crash and expressed his condolences to the martyrs. C-130 is, of course, widely used by Turkey's forces, one of the most common transport planes on the world, built in the United States. Typhoon Fung Wong blows away from the Philippines, leaving behind 8 dead and 1.4 million people displaced. Typhoon Fung Wong blew out of the northwestern Philippines yesterday after setting off floods and landslides, knocking out power for entire provinces, killing at least 8 and displacing 1.4 million people. This comes on the heels of another typhoon that just passed through. Philippines getting battered by terrible storms. Well, Australia goes full socialist, offering free electricity. No such thing. 3 hours of free electricity. Labor pitches solar share plan for households. The new scheme offers a 3-hour window in the middle of the day for Aussies to get free electricity. The federal government has announced a new scam that will offer households up to 3 hours of free electricity, targeting the period when solar energy is most abundant and often unused. The proposal, called Solar Share, is trying to encourage higher electricity use during the middle of the day when the grid is flooded with excess solar power. Why not use more storage? Stupid people should wear signs. Well, Tim Davie, isn't he resigning from the BBC? Tells his staff, we have to fight our journalism. Have to fight for journalism. Yep. Tim Davie tells BBC staff this narrative will not just be given by our enemies. The BBC Director General has this morning addressed all BBC staff in an online call. He opened the address with acknowledgement of a very tough period. He rallied the troops with a tacit acknowledgement of the enemies of the BBC and the weaponization of its mistakes. These times are difficult, BBC, but we will get through it. We will get through it. We will thrive. This narrative will not be just given by our enemies. It's our narrative. We own things. Yeah, you own things. You're a scumbag propaganda outlet. You intentionally edited things to distort what happened on January 6th, to mislead the world. Mistakes? You're criminals. It's not a mistake, BBC. You're criminals. You're outright criminals. You committed fraud. You should be bankrupted for it. This is the problem with state-run entities. Oh my goodness. Where are my moderators? Where did that just go? I just saw that. It disappeared. And I didn't see anybody take it out. That is very strange. Did you guys see that? It appeared on the screen and disappeared? Anybody else see that? Did you see that text that just appeared on the screen? And then it disappeared? None of my moderators deleted it, and I didn't delete it. Yeah. Yeah, it happened in my streaming software and it happened on my screen. Yeah, my moderators didn't remove it. I didn't remove it. I went to remove it, but yeah. So we didn't imagine that. Wow. Yeah, you see what happens on YouTube? This is YouTube. It's not me. It's YouTube. Oh, you timed them out. Okay, thank you, Mad Max. Thank you. Okay, so Mad Max, good job, Max. Okay, so we didn't imagine it. It was real. Okay, that was crazy. Anyway, the BBC are just frauds. They're just liars, man. They're just absolute liars. And they deserve to be shut down. And they're talking about our enemies. Enemies? You wouldn't have enemies if you didn't lie. President Trump says that there's progress in cutting tariff rates for India and for Switzerland. That's big news for two big trading partners for the U.S. He said he's eyeing plans to lower tariffs on countries like India and Switzerland, citing progress in negotiations. Wow. India, of course, has a 50% tariff, and I think that Switzerland's 39%, even worse than South Africa. Well, foreign national pleads guilty to smuggling criminal alien invaders from Canada into the United States. A foreign national has pled guilty to conspiring to facilitate the smuggling of illegal immigrants into the United States and will face deportation after serving a 2-year prison sentence. Edgar Gonzalez de Paz, 37, pled guilty to facilitating illegal entries in the United States at the Montreal courthouse on November 6th. Gonzalez de Paz took part in a conspiracy to facilitate the smuggling of 7 illegals into the United States on January 27 and 28, 2024, in exchange for money. He was previously arrested and charged on the Immigration and Refugee Protection Act in 2024 after he avoided examination and returned to Canada without authorization. After pleading guilty to the charge, he received a 10-month prison sentence. So these criminals go to Canada and then use that border, which is porous, to ship these criminals into our country. That's what I've said all along. The Senate passed the spending bill. They passed the cloture motion, which allowed the vote, which took place last night, and it now goes on to the House. The Senate Monday night passed a spending package to reopen the government through at least January after Republicans won a figurative staring contest over the unrelated extension of enhanced Obamacare premium subsidies. Democrats blinked, with 8 abandoning their party strategy to secure an extension of the COVID-19 expansion of the Affordable Care Act premium tax credits in the government's funding package, which is just nonsense. So, progressives are going for the scalp of Chucky Schumer, the Crypt Keeper. Senate Democratic leader tried to keep colleagues in line as party sought enhanced ACA subsidies. Senate Minority Leader Chucky Schumer wasn't one of the 8 Democrats who voted Republicans, but he is the one that's going to pay the price. Chucky Schumer is toast. Democrats are pushing for a ruthlessly pragmatic approach to counter Trump. You see, Democrats, this is the Washington Post, this is a leftist publication, openly admitting that Democrats' purpose is not to govern America and to improve life for Americans and prosperity for Americans and freedom for Americans, but their mission in life is to counter President Trump, who is working on behalf of Americans in American interest. But their job is not to improve the country and govern the country. Their job is to undermine President Trump. We know that ever since the fake Russia collusion narrative and the Steele dossier, cooked up, bought and paid for by Hillary Clinton, the Democratic National Committee criminals, each and every one of them, and the criminal John McCain, who gave that fake dossier to the FBI, who then used it and a false premise to get a warrant to do a wiretap on Carter Page in violation of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act. These are all criminals. Peter Strzok, Lisa Page, James Comey, Bruce Orr, all of these people involved in this grand conspiracy. It's a racketeering operation. That's what the Federal Bureau of Incompetence became, a racketeering operation targeting innocent American citizens. The desire to hold firm on the shutdown was the latest example of a party that has decided it must adopt a different playbook given the president's unprecedented measures to consolidate and maintain power. The fury at 8 Democratic Alliance senators who voted with Republicans to end the longest ever government shutdown highlights the dramatic shift in the Democratic Party less than a year into President Trump's second term. The reaction to the 2 votes on Sunday and Monday, which provide a pathway for government to reopen after more than 40 days, was fierce. Representative Ro Khanna of California called for Schumer to be released. Well, Representative Ro Khanna is in the House of Representatives, so Representative Ro Khanna can shut his cake hole. He's not a senator. Suggesting he was an ineffective leader, Ro Khanna is an ineffective member of Congress. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries blasted the 8 senators and said House Democrats would not support a government funding bill that did not include health care measures the party had demanded. Well, nobody cares what Hakeem Jeffries has to say. His bigotry, racism, and his hatred of America are ever present, and his ability to stop the bill passing in the House is zero. Zero. Well, Congress closes in on ending the longest ever shutdown. After 40-plus days of Democratic obstinance and obstruction, the government will likely open up soon, after 6 weeks. The shutdown has delayed about $54 billion in federal spending over the last 6 weeks, meaning the money was kept out of the U.S. economy. An unknown amount of money was not spent on airplane tickets due to flight cancellations and late distribution of supplemental nutritional assistance. November means some perishable goods were not purchased as expected. The knock-on impact is bad. Although much of the lost economic output will be replaced after the money starts flowing, between $7 and $14 billion in gross domestic product will be permanently lost. Shutdowns have political costs. The Democrats lost the public policy aspect of the shutdown, even though they won the rhetorical debate. Most public opinion polls show the Democrats enjoyed a slight edge regarding the shutdown. Not really. Not really. Likely to be more common after this. The federal government has had a lapse in spending authority on at least 20 previous occasions since 1977. However, shutdown procedures were not required until 1982. Since then, some funding gaps were resolved in a single day or occurred on weekends and did not trigger procedures. In more recent years, shutdowns have become more frequent and longer. The current shutdown is the fourth in 11 years. The last one lasted 34 days. This one is 41 days. It's becoming the new normal. And the spending battle continues. This is not over, folks. All this deal does is extend the government flat spending bill through the end of January. It does not solve the budget crisis. President Trump says his once staunch ally, Marjorie Taylor Greene, has lost her way. The Congresswoman accused the White House of focusing on foreign affairs instead of domestic ones, the latest critique she's made of GOP leaders in recent weeks. Simmering tensions between President Trump and Marjorie Taylor Greene burst into public view yesterday after the president said Make America Great Again loyalist has lost her way and accused her of catering to the other side. Trump's reproach of the Congresswoman came in response to a reporter's question about Greene's social media post early in the day that accused the president of focusing on foreign affairs. I don't know what happened, Marjorie. She's a nice woman, but I don't know what happened. She's lost her way. I guess she's, got some kind of act going, but I'm surprised at her. When somebody like Marjorie goes over and starts making statements like that, it shows she doesn't know. Wow. So Marjorie Taylor Greene, who has been on the margins of late for the Republicans. So it feels like I'm in a nightmare, says an Iranian who illegally entered this country and violated our laws and now has been deported back to Iran. For decades, Iranians fleeing persecution have found protection in the United States, but this fall, the Trump administration deported a plane load of people to Iran after making a deal with Tehran. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It feels like I'm in a nightmare, says Mr. Dalir, in a 3-hour telephone interview from Iran. He acknowledged he entered the United States illegally in April, but said he thought he would have a powerful case for asylum because he's been critical of Islamic Sharia law and a political activist. He didn't expect to be sent back to Iran. I did everything in my power to stop them, but the ICE officials didn't care. They told me either you're getting on the plane on your own or we'll tie you and send you back. Well, he deserves to be deported. He entered this country illegally. You can't seek asylum in this country unless you enter it legally. Yep, so there you go. There you go. Well, the last voices of World War II, folks, the youngest age of a World War II veteran is now 97 years. That's the youngest World War II veterans. Most are 100 or older, and less than 50,000 survive of 16 million who served in the armed forces in the U.S. in the Second World War. 80 years after their victory in Europe and Pacific, heroes share stories of their friendships they made and the memories that linger. That gentleman's missing a hand. Russell Sadekzan, 99, lost his right hand in March 1945. I was over there. I saw the heroes, he said, choking back tears. World War II was nearing its end in March 1945 when Russell Sadekzan found himself taking cover from enemy fire with other GIs in the basement of a German house. At first they felt protected, but the onslaught was unrelenting. An artillery shell ripped through the brick, mortar, and wood. Sadekzan, who had fought with the Army's 1st Infantry Division for a couple months earlier in the bloody Battle of the Bulge, looked down and saw that his right hand had been blown off. He remembers, I'm never going to play baseball again. He was 18 years old. Now 99, he told his story at the American Veterans Center annual conference this past weekend at the Omani Shoreham Hotel in Washington. There he joined veterans of America's wars, including 40 World War II veterans, to share their experiences. He lives in Schaefferstown, Pennsylvania, said people didn't want to hear stories about the war when he got back to the States. For World War II veterans, all in their 90s or early 100s, the event marked what will be one of the last times they gather publicly relay what they endured and how it shaped them. To veterans, will be honored as part of the program, American Valor, a salute to our heroes, which will be broadcast on various channels. Frank Wright, 100 years old, a Marine. A member of the famed Marine Raiders. Nightmares about what Frank Wright saw and did in World War II occasionally jolt him from his sleep. Now 100, Wright was 16 when he employed some creative paperwork to sign up for the Marine Raiders. Arlister Brown, 101 years old, U.S. Army. The Army was segregated when he was drafted in 18 and sent for training. Louisiana. David Marshall, 101 years old, Army. 2 weeks ago, Marshall, 101-year-old World War II veteran from Long Island, went skydiving twice, once from 8,000 feet and later from 14,000 feet. Exhilarating, Marshall said. We floated down. It was just the most amazing sight and feeling. Wow. Castor Salemi, 103 years old, Army. Castor Salemi, 103, of North Attleboro, Massachusetts, remembers being excited when he was drafted in 1943. He was 21 when he tried to enlist, but he was told he was colorblind. But he got in anyway. May Creer, 99, a riveter who built planes during the Second World War. She turns 100 on March 21st. 6 million women like her contributed to the war effort by filling jobs previously held by men who left for Europe and the Pacific. Joe Peterborough, 100, Army Air Forces. As a P-51 pilot with the Army Air Forces, he flew 49 combat missions in World War II. He was strafed after bombing a German air base when his plane was hit by enemy fire. He just strafed a German base when his plane was hit by enemy fire. Peterborough, who was 19, managed to bail out at 400 feet and hit the ground hard. He was captured by German troops and imprisoned, but soon escaped. Those are World War II veterans. And we're coming to an end with those folks. Crazy. Crazy. Yeah, they all look pretty good for their age. Longevity is amazing. See the interview with a vet in UK, says UK is worse today than when he was fighting for it. Yes, I believe that. I didn't see the interview. This is where you can say they don't make them like they used to. Definitely. Folks, be sure to hit the like button if you haven't done it already. Appreciate people tuning in. Still so proud of their uniforms, yeah? All right. When men were men, yeah. Sacrifice the veterans. They deserve to be honored infinitely. Yep, very special, honorable man. 100-year-old vet that says he's disappointed in the world because that's not what they fought for. I agree. Mike says, man, we never forget those veterans. I salute you, Colonel Wyatt. Mike from Orange Restaurant in Elsport. Thank you for the 35 Rand, Mike. Appreciate the super chat. Interviews for us tomorrow, says Hannes. Cool. All right, my grandpa lied in 41 at the age 16 when the U.S. entered the war so he could serve. Yep, sounds familiar, Alan. Didn't you interview Marjorie Green? No, I didn't. I didn't interview her. First time in the 26-year history of the G20, the USA will not be attending. A big diplomatic slap in the face for South Africa. Indeed. Neither is Argentina, according to reports on Twitter. Cannot believe that it has been as long as 6 weeks. Time has flown. What's the 6 weeks? Any chance of saving the UK? It's getting increasingly more difficult. Sir Keir Starmer and the problem is that there's no political party that can save the UK. Reform can't get enough votes, even though they're the second highest polling party. They're one of the least represented parties in Parliament because of the first past the post system means that they came in second in many places and didn't win. And the Tories won enough places to make them second largest party. Reform Party can save the UK, but they can't get the votes. The Tories are Ferrayas, and Labour are Ferrayas as well. They gave their country away to people from around the world. You can't go through the UK and not think that you're in another part of the world anymore. Almost nowhere. Dems are the deep state pocket. Okay. It's also about them wanting to try to get power back and keep. Yeah, you're right about that, Werner. Journalists should have enemies if they simply report news. It's their opinions that start the problems. Yeah, they wouldn't have enemies. Yep. Anna Kruger gave 70 Rand for the veterans. Well, thank you for that, Anna Kruger. Appreciate that. SABC should be sued, says Lisa Abbott. Probably. What is your opinion on 3-1 Atlas? Do you think it's a new type of celestial body? I don't know, Barley Quinn. I've been asked that question. It's a comet, is it not? I mean, I need to do more research into it and find out more about it. But no, I don't get too excited about it. Yep. Thank you. Was it Max who took out those comments? Appreciate that. South African media keeps shouting no white genocide like karaoke. Trump said, I'm not convinced. The real issue is race laws. Yep, exactly. They don't want to talk about that because that's the truth. They can't cover that up. They're also now calling Afrikaner persecution, they're calling that synonymous with white genocide. They're not even remotely related. Could be for war equipment. What's that? Okay. The Turks took Denel Aviation for a big ride. They did. They did. The Turks said they were going to buy the Augusta or they were going to buy the Ruhefalk. They wanted to dine and entertain, but they just did that to get a better deal with Augusta. That's what it was all about. They wanted a better deal with Augusta, and so they and the South Africans were dumb enough to believe it, and so they fell for it. It's a shame. The Ruhefalk was an amazing helicopter. Lots of people leaving New York. That's true. Is there anything we can do if we're persecuted if we apply for it? What do you mean? I don't understand your question, Werner. Hey, South African Air Force used to fly every day all over Southern Africa in peace and war. And now Chair Force One can't even fly Ramaphosa. We've hit the lowest low that will be lost early income in almost 3 months. Nothing new in our application process. Oh, Loretta, I'm sorry to hear that. Well, Loretta, if you need help with food and you're willing to do food socks, reach out to me. We can make that happen. That way you don't have to spend money on food. You can also sell this stuff if you want and make money. So, yep, the Chinese are going to bring all their people. Yep, and they'll knock up local population. Wakanda Force One. They just wheel it from McDonald's to McDonald's for Ramaphosa. The scary part is the ANC only need to get logistics correct on election day to hold on power. That's true. Sofa Force One. Okay, there you go. Sofa Force One. Sofa Force One, where we hide the cash. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Oh, geez, I need more sleep. So back to the story that we put in the headline here. Argentina, let me see if any news stories have come up that claim that now. So, Debbie Fox just gave 350 rent. Is my alert off? I think it is off. There it is. Yeah, because we had an interview earlier. So, okay. Any news on it yet? No, still nothing. Nothing reported news. It only was a social media post. So we don't know if it's true. You're very welcome, Carl Johnstone. Interesting user name. Yep. So, as I said before, folks, I don't. It's my normal rule. I've made a mistake in the past. My normal rule is that I don't try to profit from tragedy. So when a farm murder or a horrible thing like that happens, I'm typically not monetizing it. So I did monetize the abduction of Mike Pryor and murder of him, and that one's at 35,000 views, despite the fact that YouTube doesn't promote it. So I'm still getting about 500 views per hour. Hopefully that'll keep going. The video after that was the banner controversy, and that one is now at, I think, 30,000. 30,700. Still growing strong, and it looks like it's picking up pace, so maybe that'll keep going. What about Charlie Kirk? Rama Sofa, yeah. Ronaldo celebrating 200,000 subscribers tonight. Well, that's awesome for Ronaldo. I have envy. I envy that. That's pretty cool. He's been growing. I haven't been growing. Yep. Channel is really struggling to gain subscribers since YouTube put the thumb back on it. Please check. Okay. Please check business tech story. Let's see. Verifying that I'm a human. National shutdown warning. All because of G20, yeah. South Africans have been warned to prepare for major disruptions coming weeks as police and protest activity ramps up to the G20. Sumery gave 99. Thank you for satisfying sleep. And Dave for the news today. Colonel, it's a very insightful day. You're welcome. My pleasure. Thank you for the super chat. Jacques Biafricano needs to run. Some clowns gathering. Ta-ta. Cheers, folks. Thank you for the 100 rand. Thank you both for that. I hope all goes well. Okay, you're welcome. Okay. Del Marie's taking off. Where's everybody going? Stephanie Hatzamichael. No, Mondami's not good for anybody. And Oryx has been flying around Cape Town. Maybe a replacement for CR. Maybe. Yeah, well done, Ronaldo. I'm envious. 200,000 is really cool. That's awesome. That's awesome. And I've been watching Ronaldo since he had like 30,000 subscribers, I think it was. Colonoscopy. Well, I've received a note saying that I'm eligible for colonoscopy, but I haven't had one recently. So, traffic authorities in Gauteng and the city of Johannesburg have issued alerts about road closures and police operations taking place this coming weekend. While advocacy group Women for Change is preparing a national shutdown next week. Okay. So, several important city and regional roads will be part of the controlled traffic network. Jan Smuts Avenue, Rivonia Road. Oh, that's not good. The Rivonia Road goes right into Santon. Oxford Drive, Grayston Drive, another Santon. Catherine Street, Athol Oaklands, Glen Hove, Winnie Mandela, Hendrik Potgieter, Nazareth, Rancho Road. These are all routes in and around Santon. That's not going to be good. Drivers are urged to plan ahead and use suggested alternative routes, including in Rudaport, Byers Now, Christian Devet, and Ondeckers Road. In four ways, Main Road, Cedar Road, and Witkopen Road are suggested substitutes. Those aren't good substitutes on a regular day, let alone a stoppage. Oh my goodness! As part of its actions, a gender-based violence has launched a petition that's gained 850,000 signatures. It's calling on women and members of the LGBT plus community across South Africa to refrain from all paid and unpaid work in workplaces. By the way, I wonder what's going on with Ronaldo's change.org. Change.org. Ronaldo. Let me see. Change.org. Search. I'm not finding his. Huh. I can't find his one. So. Well, their search button doesn't work. Anyway, change it. I was trying to find Ronaldo's petition, see what's going on with it. Sean says the main difference between Ronaldo and the Colonel's channel is the stripper chat. Arctic has been hitting for blonde. No, the main channel between the two of them is mine's much more informative and more entertaining. That's the main difference. From Tia in Argentina, they reported that Foreign Minister will attend instead. Okay. Okay, thank you for that, Colonel Cookie, but I haven't seen that. I saw Tina posted on Twitter, but I didn't see they posted on their website. So, yeah, where do I have that at? Let me go back to that story. Todo Noticias. We have 6 million followers. For some reason, my Twitter is auto-translating things now. Here we go. I'm just translating the page to English for myself. That's helpful. That's helpful. All right, so where's it at? Let me see if I can find. There's a search button here. I'm not finding a search button. That's kind of frustrating. You don't have a search button on your page. Oh, wait, there's Malay. Nope, that's not it. Nope, it just keeps going. There's no bottom to this page. It's crazy. Oh, there it is. No search button. Well, what kind of website is this? Anyway, I can't find their website, so nothing here. No search button. I don't doubt you, but I can't find it. So anyway. Firefox database main corruption causes software or hardware failures. You mentioned earlier this week you have issues with. No, I didn't say. Thank you, Utopia. I didn't say. I said that I have a problem with the connections with drives, but it's not just the hard disk drives. I mean, so I would have thought it was just a drive, but it's not a drive, a particular drive, because it happened on another drive, both of which are connected to USB ports. And then I thought, okay, it's those drives. So then I'm thinking maybe the USB drivers are corrupted or something's wrong with them. Because then my camera stopped working. So, or maybe they just all happen to be piling up. Quick note to wish you a happy Veterans Day. Maybe I should just switch out that drive, copy everything on it to another one, and put another one there. A solar flare? I don't know about that. Okay, they come all the time. I have the link if you want me to send it. Thank you, Colonel Cookie. If you have me on WhatsApp, send it to me that way. Yeah, Joan Pearl, I think it might be something to do with USB ports. Utopia may be onto something, but the drives, one of them is a solid-state drive, one of them is a physical drive, and they're both external and using USB ports, one inside the computer case, one on the outside. So, yeah. But also my camera locked up and wouldn't work. I couldn't use my camera. Found Ronaldo through Wednesdays with a Colonel. That's interesting. As for debt sustainability for poor countries, does that mean just pay? Yes, that's what it means. That's what debt sustainability means. It means you borrow our money coming from our private banks, and then you don't pay it back because we're just evil racists. And why should you be expected to pay money back that you borrow? That's what that means. That's what that means. Yaku Statement says, I wish you a happy Veterans Day. I still have a hard time calling you Chris. That's fine, Yaku. I don't mind calling me Colonel. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that. In fact, I enjoy it. I get more respect from South Africans than I do from Americans. Don't know if I sound a bit dry to YouTube. All I get is beer adverts. Marissa, that's interesting. You tried logging on Twitter, but it doesn't exist. That's interesting. Yeah, the Firefox database corruption issue is software hardware failures. I think it's a Windows failure. I think it's that. Yep. Because okay, so Firefox got all wonky on me again this morning. I had to log back into everything this morning, which cost me 25 minutes to log into multiple sites. But I didn't have a problem with the drives. I tested it. I looked to see if I was problem with the drives. So let me try it now, see what's going on. Okay, let me go to my drives. Let me go to my C drive, instant, D drive, instant, both physical drives. One's a solid state, C is a solid state, D is a physical drive with a platter inside. E, which is an external drive, and I'll click on that. That's working perfectly fine. I've just opened up a text file there, which I couldn't do the other day. And then the F one, which is inside, that opened instantaneously. And on the F, let me just find something here that, see if I can't find 2025. Oh, that's not what I want. Let's go with 2024. Let's go with September 2024. Okay, what's this? Yeah, if you got enough pictures. Okay, start the video now. So I'm accessing a video. So if the drive was acting up, then I wouldn't be able to do this. Present. Holmes. Order. Holmes. Thank you, folks, for coming out. Really appreciate participating in the ceremony. Thank you. See, I was able to access that. So, yeah. So, I don't think it's a hard drive failure. I think it's either a Windows issue or something is just corrupted there. But thank you, Utopia. Appreciate it. Another nod in my name has been sent to you, Center. I don't know what that means, Krista. Vitkolpen Road had the nickname DeVit. Wow, that's crazy. That's so cool, hoisting the flag. Yep. Does not like command. I don't know. I don't have a problem with command line. I just don't like playing this administrator game. I mean, it's my computer. I should be default an administrator. I shouldn't have to go into it. Very dapper. I looked a little chubby in that, I thought. Thank you. Yeah, it was long. Need a haircut. It's long now, so it was right before I got a haircut. Email on your All About Africa address. Just wanted to let you know. Thank you, Cronier. Jacksamillion. 70 Rand. I'm back after break due to working short time for 2.5 months. I had to cancel all memberships. Wow. Jacksamillion. Okay. Well, I'm glad you're back. Are you working full time? That's good news, hopefully. St. Christopher was also represented as an anthropomorphic man. Just run driver, pack, and it will be sorted. Stupid Windows 11 is not. I'm not on Windows 11, Mad Max. I'm not on Windows 11. Drivers are free and solve driver problems on any device. From a small piece of software written on pure enthusiasm 8 years ago, we transformed into a company which has helped more than 40 million people worldwide configure their computers. During this time, our software has become incredibly faster and smarter. Today, DriverPack is the largest database of unique drivers in the world, located in ultra-high-speed servers all over the world in order to perform the process of driver installation always quickly and with the highest possible quality. We use machine learning technology that makes our selection algorithm even better and more accurate. All right, so do I have to buy it? Free? That is free, okay. Largest driver database in the world. Okay, driver pack. Oh, I'll give it a try. Maybe that's the solution. It won't update drivers because Windows 10 has lost support. It should do the most recent one, right? Nothing wrong with chubby. There is. I'm a thin person and I'm uncomfortable. That's because of the hip. Download and let it run. It takes about 40 minutes. Move to Linux. Nope, not going to happen. Daughter from me leave the kernel sand and there's no convincing her otherwise. Ah, Lynette, that's cute. That's cute. That's cute. So, it's time for me to go over to join the Conscious Caracal. So I'm going to wrap it up here, folks, but I need to redirect people to the Conscious Caracal. So please don't run off there. Let me see if I can't find that. I didn't set this up earlier. All right, we're set. Cool. You'll be redirected there. How are we doing on subscribers? 113,918. I wonder if it would be cool if we got to 114,000. That would be really cool on Ronaldo's big day. Be cool if we could also get there. Anyway, you'll get to the Conscious Caracal after this, folks. So 500 of you here. Please join me over there. Thanks. Feel free to super chat him if he's still, I don't know if his channel's still paid. Real difference, just saying thank you for the truth. You're welcome. It's my pleasure. Alrighty, guys. For many years, it's not close to other ad-driven packages. Huh? Aaron's Fun Sale, yeah. What did I say? Answer first? I said Aaron's Fun Sale. All right, guys. See you there shortly. All right, thanks a lot. Be sure to hit the like button on your way out the door. We got a lot of likes today. Big audience. Really appreciate everybody showing up. I'm not sure what drove folks here today, but whatever it was, thank you for coming. Cheers, everybody. God bless.